Counter-Strike has had its fair share of apes up in the control room, pressing buttons at random, just hoping and praying a good team would come out of it. But I think in the big 2025, we may have hit a new low. This low would of course come from NA, I know you aren't surprised, in the form of a tier 2 team known as Wildcard. If you look at what this team has done over the past year, I mean, dear God, it is a dumpster fire. Random benchings, roster chaos, tournament withdrawals, random benchings being undone a month later, and everyone tries to pretend it didn't happen, and management not really knowing what a Counter-Strike is, so they just use ChatGPT to run the team instead. Wildcard has become one of the most mismanaged, clownish organizations in the entire Counter-Strike scene. But first, let's talk about how we got here. Wildcard Gaming was founded in April of 2017 in Houston, Texas. Their initial vision was to create a professional environment for player development in amateur League of Legends. Southern League fans, huh? It's starting to make a little bit more sense. From the success they had in League, they'd begin to quickly expand to other games. PUBG, PUBG Mobile, Rainbow Six Siege, WoW Arena, and Brawlhalla. Eventually, Wildcard said, enough of these fake games. Besides Siege, of course, Siege is lit.
You guys are so shit. Like, you guys are so shit. I'm not fucking weak.
And as of today, they only focus on 4 titles. Still Siege, CS2, Dota 2, and Rocket League. They no longer compete in the game that started their story and instead are in Dota 2 now. I'm sorry, that seems like treason to me. Like, League and Dota fans, is that like horrific to do? Their entrance into Counter-Strike started on April 24th of 2023, around a month after CS2 was announced. They'd acquired Team Detonate, which included Brett, Cryptic, Micro, Freshie, and Slight, and then newly hired general manager Jeremy 9000 would state, "Thank you to Ben and Griff for the opportunity to build the CS division as I look to guide this project in the right direction for the players to grow not only within the server, but outside the server at the same time. We have big plans for this great group of players and are committed to giving them the right support to reach their max potential under the Wildcard banner." Hell yeah, Jeremy. I can't wait to see what you guys do. And in Jeremy's defense, this team did look incredibly promising. Well, after they completely removed all of the players they wanted to grow, besides the upper Slight and sign Stanislaw, Infinite, JBA, and Sonic. Now, this team was actually exciting. Stanislaw is a veteran NA IGL who has had great success in the past. Infinite. JBA was a young talent NA fans had extremely high hopes for. Maybe he could save our region. And Sonic has of course been around the block and has been a solid player for quite some time. The problem is, while this roster was very fun on paper, in practice, they underachieved quite a bit. At the start of 2024, they had 3 qualifiers to huge events: IEM Chengdu, IEM Dallas, and the PGL CS2 Copenhagen Major. They bombed out of all of them, and after missing out on the juicer sticker money, Wildcard began to get a little bit mad. So they looked at the team, saw Infinite furious rating, and kicked his ass to the curb. Then shortly afterwards, Wildcard would get a huge break. Complexity could not go to IEM Chengdu due to visa issues, so Wildcard would finally get their chance. Sure, they just kicked their 5th player, but strap in, boys. We're going to China. I suppose we can just bring in Modem as a stand-in. He's fine in tier 2 NA. Then they get to China. JBA gets food poisoning. Their coach Horvey must now also stand in against 2 top 10 teams in Cloud9 and Virtus Pro. With 2 stand-ins, they get absolutely fucking shit stomped. And as this genius Redditor noticed, Wildcard had more letters in their name, 8, than rounds 1 at IEM Chengdu, 7. Phenomenal observation, my brother. This was a complete disaster. But after this, they decided we actually didn't have enough of the Chinese yet, and they would bring one back with them on a trial period. This trial period would last about 6 weeks, and then Call Me Sue would step down for personal reasons. He would then be replaced by Grizz for yet another trial period, which also only lasted 6 weeks. Then after that, Grizz plus Slight would be benched, and I mean, 2024 at this point was just looking like a complete disaster. Roster instability, no good results, and flew 20 hours to China just to get beaten to a pulp. Then, in an act of revenge, they even tried to steal one of their citizens, and that didn't even work out for them. But this was when Wildcard would realize something absolutely insane. Europe is gooder than us at Counter-Strike. Why don't we just sign some Europeans? Goodbye, coach. Welcome a Polish man, and welcome 2 Swedes in Susp and Fuzie. Immediately after this move, Tournament 1 Tournament 1. Qualifier qualified. Ignore this. And it's time for the Perfect World Shanghai Major. Sure, we missed the last one, but this time, we would need to return to China for our revenge. And while we're there, why don't we track down that motherfucker Call Me Sue? He cannot escape us. Wildcard would sweep the RMR going 3-0 over teams like Liquid and Complexity and book their spot in the organization's first ever major. Things were looking up for Wildcard. They had finally constructed a good-ass team, and they'd even make it through the opening stage over teams like Complexity, Virtus Pro, and Cloud9. With that out of the way, it seemed like their revenge path was finally completed. All that was left now was to find that fucker Sue. Does anyone know where he is? Now, they would go 0-3 in the next stage, but at the end of the day, this was still an incredible result for the team. By all means, they overachieved, but even with all of that success, maybe the best news of all, before the end of 2024, Amaranth would become a co-owner of Wildcard Gaming. Wow. With 2024 being a massive success, at the start of 2025, Stanislaw, Sonic, and JBA would all sign contract extensions with the team. Things are looking great. We even win Frost and Fire Europe, yes. But then the team strangely would take a step back. Blown out by Astralis with Katie in it Blast Bounty, miss out on IEM Katowice because we come in 9th to 12th place in the play-in, and then go 1-3 at Cluj-Napoca. This was supposed to be Wildcard taking a step into Tier 1, and it looked like they were just getting outclassed. This would cause Wildcard to become evil. New rules for majors, and now Wildcard would be considered a European team. And they knew damn well, with their recent form, they were not qualifying through Europe. So they did something a little sneaky. Throw the slots criminal into the lineup for Fuzie, which in turn would make them a majority NA team for this one close qualifier right before the Austin Major MRQ. Then after this, return Fuzie to the lineup and cruise through the MRQ as a European team in an NA qualifier. This was not liked by many. Apparently Fuzie didn't even know this was happening, so it kind of made him slightly upset. And not even just him, but other teams like fellow NA rival M80. Player for M80 Swisher would then go on to tweet being angry about the situation, saying they used an NA stand-in to force a region lock change from NA/EU to just NA, avoiding the risk of ending up in the EU MRQ. The player they replaced was actively in NA during the event and had no issues playing. They switched their region to NA before the VRS update and accepted the NA invite, but are still allowed to use their EU player and original lineup, which would have had them playing in the EU MRQ. And then he would end it off with saying, please patch this loophole or enforce your rules. Then player for Wildcard Susp would say, Wildcard is an American team when they help NA with one extra major slot, but they ain't when they take an MRQ slot. So as you might expect, this would start an eternity long beef between Wildcard and M80. And well, eventually this rule would be changed so that it couldn't happen again. But of course, the damage was already done. Then at the Austin Major, Wildcard would go on to miss stage 2, going 2-3 in stage 1, and then shortly after this, the team would completely implode. Probably their two most important players in Fuzie the Yopper, who is the highest rated player on the team, and pretty much the heart, soul, and brain behind the team of Stanislaw, would be benched. What the fuck? Those two quite literally were Wildcard. They were the team essentially. But it wasn't all for nothing. You see, before this, in stage 1 of the Austin Major, Wildcard would play Lin Vision and their recently acquired player, Call Me Sue. We fucking found him. And they would complete their revenge arc in double overtime on Nuke. Maybe after that, Wildcard felt satisfied. They decided they didn't need to try anymore. They had already completed their entire revenge arc. There was nothing left to do. To replace Stanislaw would be NA Rifler Peeping, and to replace Fuzie would be Polish Opper Friend. I think Friend was the one calling during this period, but I really don't actually know what was going on. Anyways, Wildcard would go on to play with this new roster at Fissure Playground 1, where they just looked absolutely god-awful. They'd somehow win a map against Gamer Legion, but then got stomped in 4 straight maps. The team would then, of course, go into panic mode and bench the other Swedish player Susp and bring back Stanislaw. An interesting strategy to bench your IGL for one event and then bring him back. They then played a couple events, didn't look great, loaned Fuzie to 9, and then recalled him in September to play for the team again. I mean, just fucking commit to something, fellas. What are we doing? Of course, the Polish Opper Friend would be benched for him, and I mean, he was like okay with his time during the team. He posted a 1.12. Like, it's not like he was an issue, but I just don't really know what's happening anymore. Sonic would then be acquired by NRG, and to replace him would be Fiku from OG. Okay, at this point it looked like Wildcard had blown up their entire team to regret it immediately and try to put it back together and act like nothing happened. This is when we would get some insight from Fuzie, who had just came back to the team.
You were announced just a few hours before you started your campaign. How are you feeling being back in Wildcard? Now I'm back. There's not much I can do about it. I'm gonna try to do my best.
We talked to Stanislaw on day one, and he said, you know, bringing in Peeping wasn't a team decision. You and Sus being benched wasn't a team decision. Were you blindsided as well by those changes?
Yeah, I think I knew a day before they announced that I was benched. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise also at the end of the player break, so I couldn't really have a chance to find another team.
Stanislaw hinted at the fact that it seems like it was a management decision from one person to sort of make these changes, and that there wasn't a lot of input from any other parties, especially not the team itself.
Well, I got asked to IGL, and I said that I don't want to IGL. I want to focus on hopping. So I think it was pretty clear they wanted to cut Stanislaw pretty fast. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what they want to do. Maybe try to bring in some more firepower. But yeah, I'm not sure. We as players and the team, I don't think we had so much to say in it. I mean, obviously not me because I got benched, right? So, I mean, I'm not sure what happened. I heard ChatGPT was involved a bit with taking suggestions for players.
Is that, I'm sorry, but I have to interject. Seriously?
From what I've heard, yeah.
So like, hey, ChatGPT, if I want to replace Stanislaw and Fuzie, who do you think should do it? That seems patently absurd and almost comical to do that, especially after, you know, making 2 majors. He said that Stanislaw told us that after this whole debacle unfolded, that management has changed. Does that allow you to kind of come into this wildcard roster and put, quite frankly, that nonsense behind you?
It's something you always have in the back of your head, right? Also, the Stewie situation, I feel like I got a bit betrayed by the organization, obviously.
You have got to be kidding me, bro. I mean, this is one of the most brutal interviews I've ever watched. From start to finish, he just seems overly done with the organization. And I mean, as soon as ChatGPT gets brought into it, I mean, it's, oh, pack it up, fellas. What are you talking about? This interview is done by MN. And after he hears that ChatGPT gets brought up, he's shocked.
Is that, I'm sorry, but I have to interject. Seriously?
He then also brings up the Stewie 2K situation, saying he got betrayed in that moment as well because the organization just didn't talk to him about it, I guess, beforehand. And I mean, the entire situation just sounds like a complete mess. Throughout the rest of 2025, Wildcard have continued to struggle, as you might expect. And we would once again hear from Fuzie in an article titled, "I Don't Want to Stay in Wildcard." In this interview between Quack and Fuzie, more concerning things about the organization would come to light. Now, this entire interview was done in Swedish, so I'm just gonna read off some of the parts that were translated. Fuzie, on his future with Wildcard, says, "I don't want to say too much, but I don't want to stay in Wildcard. I really enjoyed my time in 9, and I feel like I've been gone too long. China, USA, it's time I get a European team. There's been way too much traveling, way too many issues around it all. Hopefully, I'll get an EU team in 2026. Then when he was asked about Wildcard placing him on the transfer list, he replied, "That's something I believe will be announced pretty soon." So, you know, he's gone. That's basically what that means. He then provided some extra context on the viral ChatGPT quote. It was a very clickbait-friendly quote, but from what I've heard, the manager who scouted Peeping asked ChatGPT which roles he was playing, instead of checking himself. It was entirely wrong, as he was more of a star player in his previous team, and then he came into Wildcard and got into anchor roles. It wasn't very easy for him either as a newcomer and as a young talent to jump into Wildcard and play entirely different roles from what he was used to. Overall, in this interview, you can tell that Fuzie has a pretty negative impression of Wildcard, which honestly at this point is completely fair, and pretty much saying, yeah, I'm gone in 2026. But along with him, the complete decay of the team would go even further. The coach Vins would leave in October, stating, "After a long and intense journey in Wildcard, we're terminating my contract early, which means I'm available to start a new project in just a few days with full agreement from Wildcard. My vision with Peter and the organizations has become completely different. But even though I am someone who does not mince words when it comes to the organization, I believe that what happened in the locker room should stay in the locker room." You fucking pussy. You gotta tell me what happened in there, bro. I know you're trying to be a professional. Just please let me know, please. Thank you for this time, Wildcard, and good luck with your vision for the team. I would like to add that I am proud that under our leadership, Wildcard participated in 2 majors in a row and made its first appearance on the CS2 scene. But maybe worst of all, right before this Vins announcement, Wildcard would purchase back its shares from Amaranth. Doggummit. I'm effing pissed right about now. And after this complete disaster, Wildcard decided they were just gonna start from scratch. Stanislav, Fuzie, and JBA have been put on the transfer list, and Peeping has been moved to the bench, with Fiku's contract expiring at the end of the month. They're starting their new team off by hiring James IRL as their new head coach, so you know, we'll see what happens to him. With all of this turmoil, Wildcard have recently withdrawn from ESL Challenger League Season 50 NA Final. From their great success at Shanghai to having 2 players on the team and no coach. This was by all means a generational crumble, and it all happened within less than a year. Now, at the end of the day, I do not blame anyone for wanting to leave this team. That initial move of benching Stanislav and Fuzie had broken everyone's trust in the organization, and like, why wouldn't it? Apparently, there was just one guy making roster moves without really consulting anyone on the team, and I mean, why would you want to play there? Why would you want to play in a team like that? They've tried to mend the relationship with bandages, but these players aren't 8 years old. They're going to remember this. You know, most real teams in esports have scouts, multiple coaches, an analytics team, the whole thing. Not one man asking ChatGPT, good players to sign for a CS2 team. What roles do player play at? And will he be a good fit for my Counter-Strike team? Please let me know. Like, this is genuinely unreal to me. It shouldn't even be possible for one man without really consulting anyone or anyone on the team to just go and make drastic roster moves like this. It just shows a complete lack of, I don't know, a frontal cortex. Like, why would anyone want to play for this team in the future? Best case here is Wildcard realizes their ginormous mistakes, completely rebuilds its management team, tries to rebuild trust with the scene/players, and maybe in the future they can go back to being a somewhat exciting team, maybe even like an NA dark horse. Worst case, this organization is just done in Counter-Strike. Like, they might genuinely just need to completely exit the game due to one horrific management decision, literally due to one man influenced by ChatGPT. Like, what are you, too fancy for Grok? But you want to know who the dumbest person of all might be? It's me, bro. I mean, I went to Austin earlier this year, and guess what I did? I bought a fucking Wildcard jersey, man. Are you kidding me? Right after I buy your jersey, you're just gonna go doofus mode? I can't wear this in public. I'll get spitballed and swirlied. Are you guys fucking kidding me, man?